Roll Tide. Welcome to the Alabama section of Tide and Tigers. We're talking Tide basketball. We're talking Senior Bowl preview. Big week for Alabama. Big week. On the road tonight at Mississippi State. Earlier in the head-to-head segment you saw I thought the Dogs were going to win. I'm actually changing that. Bama does win. I had second thoughts about it after going away, thinking how much. I know they're not favored in the game. I didn't technically have a pick on that this week, so we can't hold against my picks. But I'm reversing that. Bama does win tonight at Mississippi State. Just looking at the numbers, looking at the game, I know Mississippi State's favored, but I like Bama tonight. The game this weekend, LSU barely squeaked by at home. It seems like Bama hasn't been playing their best games at home. They went 80-73. Holloway has another big game with 19 points. I don't know. That's the one thing I will say about Alabama. The big games this year, they've really shown up for. The games that they should win by double digits, they were favored by 17.5 in this game, and they win by 7. So it just seems like they're maybe overlooking some teams. But the big issue, and I want to talk about this, Mark Sears did not play the second half of this game. 0 for 5, 0 for 2 from 3. He played 17 minutes. You could see him crying on the sidelines, or emotional, maybe not crying. This is a huge issue, and that's why I've changed my pick, because I rethought about that. First of all, Nate Oates' decision to bench his captain and best player, that takes a lot of guts to do. And they said the team on the floor was better without Mark Sears. And granted, this game was an up-and-down game. Bama was not leading much of this game, and it was very, very much of a roller coaster of a ride. But to not play your team captain and best player, down the stretch, they bench him, and that's when Bama took the lead and kind of kept the lead. That's a huge issue. I think Sears responds tonight. I think he has a big game, but man, it just those are times where you need a veteran team, and Bama has a veteran team to recover from that. I hope that Oates and Sears got together and kind of got that situated, but that's not a good look. Not a good look for Bama. Not a good look for Nate Oates. And again, you wonder what all went into that. Obviously, he wasn't playing well. But basketball, Chance has mentioned this before, and he'll say it again. It's a very streaky game, and sometimes when you don't have it, you don't have it. And maybe it was just one of those games where Nate Oates saw early on, it's just not his night. We need to go with a different direction. But it's just tough to see, especially from the leader of the team, and for him to go score no points in a basketball game. But Holloway and Phelan, both very high-rated top guards, score in double digits. Grant Nelson scores in double digits. Youngblood's in double digits. So again, 4 guys. That's kind of the lineup he went to down the stretch with Diabate, who's in double digits again. So you got 5 guys who scored double digits, and that's who he ended the game with. And to me, Clifford was actually had a pretty good game too. So it just, I don't know. I didn't like the way it all played out. Hopefully this is some motivation for Sears, because again, most people would say he has not had the year that everybody thought he was going to have. I mean, he's averaging 3 points less a game than he averaged last year, and you think you're coming back as maybe one of the best players in the country, he'd be averaging 25 points a game this year. I know they have more talent around him this year, but man, that was very disappointing to see. So I think a bounce back win at Mississippi State, and then obviously we picked the game this weekend at Georgia. I think they'll win that as well. So Bama winning, but there's some rumblings and some turmoil in there. Hopefully they get this figured out before March. On to the Senior Bowl. Like I said, we got 4 players playing the Senior Bowl. Jalen's the big one. I hope, again, we've seen early on there hasn't been some good talks about Jalen and everything going on. The hand size, like Chance says. Just other quarterbacks down there who are very talented. Gabriel, Dart, Leonard. There's some studs down there. Milroe needs to have a better week. I think he will. But this is going to be interesting. If he does not have a good week and a good game, I think you could see his draft stock going down majorly, which is not a good, because I was the one saying that he should stay for his senior year. Whether Bama fans liked it or not, Jalen could have had a monster senior year at Alabama. He doesn't stay, and now this is starting to float. I mean, he could see himself 4th or 5th round. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope he finishes the week out strong. I think Tim Smith is somebody that could really gain some draft stock. Obviously disappointed with Malachi not being able to play because of the injury. I would have loved to see him in the Senior Bowl. He's somebody that would have done really very well down there. So, but yeah, it's just to me this is a huge week for these seniors to showcase their talents. It's one thing to be able to play in your system, and Chance, this is why I like the Senior Bowl, is because you're not in your system anymore. You're in somebody else's system. You're practicing with NFL coaches, and you're also against other guys that are just as talented as you are. So you got to step your game up. When you're at your pro day, it's you in your own atmosphere, and you can do whatever you want to. That's why some guys skip out on the Senior Bowl, because you're kind of throwing yourself in the dogs and say, hey, these 4 guys look way better than me. When you're on your own turf with your own receivers, you're going to look good in a pro day. But when you're on somebody else's offense with other people you've never played with, that kind of tells you your adaptability. Like, did I say that right?
Adaptability.
Adaptability, yes. So, there's a lot of talent down there. But you're going to get thrown to the fire in the NFL. Look at Daniels playing with these 4 or 5 guys he's never played with before, and then there's going to be guys that come in mid-season. So this is a very important week for MIlro, and like I said, some of these other defensive players as well. I look forward to have a bigger rest of the week and a good game on Saturday, and hopefully it does. And we'll be back with you next week. Like I said, it should be an interesting week. Tide, I think, going 2-0. I changed it. I was picking against Alabama, but I'm not now. Sears, big game tonight. Roll Tide.